And then, there's a thing going through the life in the school, which is great, and that is the middle role to call the facts of rules, something effective. So, especially when we get people who are employed, so put on this list, the huge ethics, very sensitive in order to try to practice with moving speaking. So, when we look at the picture, we've got education side, commitment, and over the almost 16, and most of them remember. So, that's the list that I got as I was doing to inspire.